Hi guys, look who I found. Look who came to visit me.
Hi, it's me.
Woohoo! For those of you who don't know, this is Chelsea, and she runs the channel Practical Poppins.
Indeed.
So Chelsea, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel?
Hi everybody, my name is Chelsea. My channel is specifically for nannies, but also parents. I've been a private nanny for 7.5 almost years. I love kids. They're fabulous and interesting. So one of the things I love about my job is that I get to go out and take my girls to museums, and we get to do art projects all the time, and you know, do fun stuff like building pillow forts and stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah. There are days that I would love to build a pillow fort in my office.
Well, who says you can't?
That's true.
I think
there's nobody looking.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll make that happen. For people who are thinking of becoming a nanny, or for people who are thinking about getting into childcare more generally, what's one thing that you would recommend that people do to kind of prepare for that?
I think the biggest piece of advice I would say is to be around kids. Go to a playground and kind of see if that's something that's appealing to you, because that is going to be your whole life if you are like me, a full-time nanny. Because a lot of days I don't engage with anyone over the age of 7 for 12 hours. So if that's something that does not sound like a good idea to you, maybe think about something different.
Find a different career path, guys.
Yes, exactly.
So knowing what you know now with your many years of expertise in this area, what's a bit of advice that you would give to somebody who's just starting out?
If I could tell 7 years ago me something, I think the biggest piece of advice I would give to aspiring nannies is to find a village. Find your community. The first year that I was a private nanny, I didn't know any other nannies. The first year was actually really, really lonely. I had an infant all by myself, 12 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
So I would say really try and find a community, and I did that by joining a local kinder music program. I signed us up because I was like, we need to get out of the house and this will be a great thing to do. And I found some of my best friends there, actually. Offer somebody coffee. If you go to like a playroom space, if there's other nannies there or even other moms, feel free to say like, hey, do you want to go get a cup of coffee? Because most likely they will say yes to coffee.
Can you share a few of your sort of go-to activities? You need to run errands or something, and you want to keep them occupied for a little bit. You know, what are a couple of your go-to activities for that?
Well, there is one thing that I'm actually super proud of myself about. I was in Target one day. We were in the like office supplies aisle, and they have a ton of little index cards. And there's apparently these things that are little index card holders. And so what I did was grab one of those little boxes, chuck some blank index cards in it, and about 10 crayons. They fit right in there. So the box was actually perfectly sized to fit inside the glove compartment of the car. And so I always have a little box of paper and crayons with us everywhere we go.
That's awesome. If you come across a roadblock when you're like trying to teach one of your kiddos a new thing, what are some of the creative strategies that you've used to overcome some of those roadblocks?
So the most recent roadblock that I have found in our raising kids nanny life is that the oldest one we had to teach how to read. And she's in 2nd grade now. She's well on her way to reading, but it was kind of a rough road to get there. One of the things that we've been doing is having her sit at a chair and focus, which was a struggle. 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds, they're usually very active people, and perhaps having them sit in a chair and be still and focus on something is not the best way to go about it. And so a couple of weeks ago, I started trying to do a new thing with her where I just kind of let her bebop around. Since I've let her move around while she's reading and while she's trying to remember her spelling words for her tests at school, that she has brightened up a lot more. So with that particular roadblock, for me, it was letting the child kind of really tell me how we needed to go about it, and kind of being open to the situation, and not going into it and saying, I think this is how you need to learn, and I think this is the way it's going to go. So I think the biggest takeaway for that for me actually is also there's not one right way.
What's something that really distresses you about the state of how we're raising our children these days, or what kids are having to go through to grow up in this world today?
How long do you have? One of the things that I really think about a lot when I get home from work is the judgment that comes with parenting or being any sort of parent, nanny, caregiver, and not just the judgment from outside people who do other jobs, but the judgment from each other. I think that's really detrimental. You know, everybody has different parenting styles, and sometimes it's really hard to see the good in somebody else's parenting style if it's not what you would do. But I think if we can try and find a way to be more accepting of each other as parents and caregivers. And instead of beating each other down for the different ways that we raise our kids, if we could raise each other up for the different ways that we raise our kids.
That's a great point.
I think that would be really helpful. And the second thing is media. I'm not necessarily distressed about media.
Right.
I'm interested to see how kind of the complete infiltration of personal media affects the kids growing up now.
Yeah.
Not that that's necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
We don't really know yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's starting to affect their social skills, and that's really distresses me. Yeah, I'm interested to see, 20 years from now, how this generation is socially with all of the technology that's around them. So.
It's interesting you say that, because the number of times I've gotten the question, what is TV doing to my child's brain, or what is the iPhone doing to my child's brain?
Right.
Unfortunately, the answer is we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because this is all so very new. It's changing so rapidly. We don't have good research on what this really does for kids.
Right, or what it's going to look like long term.
Exactly, exactly. And so what I try to tell people who ask me that question is to remember that the TV and the media shouldn't replace the important everyday interactions that you have with kids. I had a friend recently who said, if I put my baby in front of Sesame Street for 20 minutes while I go take a shower, am I wrecking his brain? And I was like, no, take a shower. Just take care
that
of
will
your
be better
thing.
for his brain
That will
than
exactly.
being in front of the TV.
So it's finding that balance, right? Of spending too much time letting the TV be the parent.
Right.
You can't let the TV be the parent. It's not a parent. It's a TV.
We should use media better.
Yeah.
In raising our kids.
Yeah.
Hopefully not letting the media raise our kids, but using it as a relationship building tool.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of shows that we have watched together that have been bonding experiences for us to watch together. Whether it's Mr. Rogers or Super Y, which is a reading cartoon, those are very interactive kind of shows, and also give a lot of information to the parents, to the children, to discuss while you're watching it.
Right. I feel like so often caregivers maybe just don't know how they could use, this particular television show or whatever. And so we need to be able to give parents that information that can really help them deepen their understanding of how to use media.
Right.
I think there's more that we could do there.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Here's hoping we can get there. Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea, for coming and
You're so welcome.
flying all the way to Minnesota. And if you're interested in learning more about Chelsea and her channel, you can find her at...
I am on the YouTubes at Practical Poppins, or you can find me on Twitter at @OneChelseaMorning.
And go follow her because she's awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. And click the like and subscribes and all of those button-y, engagement-y things on the bottom. And we'll see you next time.
Have a good day.